Hello, lovers. So, recently I've been thinking a lot about men, and I think that I have kind of started to develop a rather negative view of men, greatly influenced by my dating experience. And when I hosted Nadine Jimenez Langana, who runs Matchmaking Nashville, I think she really put this in a great framework, which is that she said, when you have a thought that's negative, you find evidence to support that thought, or whatever your mindset is, you find evidence to support that subconsciously. And I, as you know, am someone who really does believe in manifesting. And I think that with my love life, manifesting has been kind of weird for me. So, for example, there's this family I really like a lot, and I was thinking, gosh, I wish that we were closer. And then suddenly they reached out to me and invited me to a special event that their kid was putting on. There's just so many examples of this, even with this dating stuff that I've been doing. Kind of almost randomly, two men I knew from my past have just reached out to me. Now, granted, I put this beautiful new photo of myself up on Facebook, but it was just intriguing to me that they happen. It just almost feels like there's these mystical feelers getting put out. So when I start, focusing on manifesting in my love life, and I'm listening to manifesting music and guided meditations, and I will also point you to that because I've created if you are also interested in manifesting, I have a ton of playlists for manifesting. But I think that my negative view of men is getting in the way of this. And so in order to cultivate a more positive view of men, first of all, I talked to 15 matchmakers, and across the board, they assured me there are good men, and I trust them. So the second thing that I'm going to do is look at my Facebook and make a list of at least 10 men that I feel like would be an awesome person to be married to. And I'm just trying to kind of get a sense of who they are, where they live, so I can start spotting that kind of man when I'm out and about. Okay, so the first person that I'm going to put is my uncle. He is just such a wonderful man. He is an entrepreneur, so he is a landlord. He has a whole set of duplexes in Dallas called Monopoly Duplexes, and he's just a really fun-loving guy. He's very kind. He's part of a men's group in his church, so he's self-reflective, self-aware. He's always bringing my aunt nice little gifts. He's grown a lot over the years. She's had to train him, but that's first on the list. My uncle is just amazing, and he really cares about the whole family, and he's always there to help us if we need something. And what I also love about my uncle is that sometimes he does things that annoy me, but if I tell him, he just isn't mad. He just takes it and he looks to improve himself. Number two on my list, I guess this is just the first person that came to mind. I live in an Airbnb, and the couple that runs it is just so kind and loving and supportive. And I was talking to the wife the other day, and she was just saying about how happy she was to have such a good partner. And I really appreciate how they work together, the love that he shows his kids, and all that strength. So I'm going to put that one down there. So I guess that's another entrepreneur, a Croatian one. Third on my list is my cousin's husband. So one of them works in finance, and other one works for a crypto startup. Both of them are very physically fit. They really care about their health. One of them is extremely social, so he's always getting involved. They have just a huge group of friends. They're always doing fun stuff together. And now the two of them are really close. And both of them are just complete rocks for my cousins, and really supportive, really caring about their needs. You can really count on them. They love their kids. They love having kids. One of my cousins, he did all of this research into how to breastfeed before his first child was born. And, the other one is he just adores his child and loves them so much. I guess it's interesting. One of those guys is originally Latin American, and the other one is from the Midwest. So those are kind of some interesting areas to explore. On that note, my cousin's brother, he's former army veteran who built his own startup. Again, I love how he talks to his wife, and I also love how these men are really social with every person they meet. I guess I think that that's a really attractive quality in a man. Okay, now I'm going to take a look at my Facebook before I run out of options and see who are some other men that I really admire and like in my circle. Okay, so this is another one in Dallas. He's a doctor. And I think that he would not be somebody who I would necessarily think of immediately to date because he's pretty short. I mean, I wouldn't date him. He's 40 years older than me and he's married. But just in terms of people, that might be someone amazing that you would overlook, but he's just so kind, so sweet, so supportive of his family. I think that doctors are a really great pick. And my aunt knows a bunch of men who are doctors. So many of the amazing men I know are men who live in Dallas who my aunt knows. I'm kind of scrolling through this list and I'm seeing people who are men that I knew who I would not choose, kind of theater artists who ended up being a little flaky when I gave a lot to them and I needed them and they just weren't there for me. There's some other entrepreneurs who are really obsessed with their startup and they don't really look out and see what other people need. So that's not on the list. I'm trying to put my focus on the positive because when you're manifesting, you're supposed to speak about the positive things. Okay, another one. This is one of a guy I just talked to yesterday from my high school. He's married. And again, someone I might overlook at first. He's an engineer. He's kind of nerdy, doesn't necessarily know how to socialize very well, but is just 100% there for his family. And I have this real sense of certain men that once they are just in, they are in. When it comes to their family, to their wife, to their kids, there's no doubt. There's 100% clarity. And I really love that. Okay, so that's engineer, angel investor. Let me think a little bit about what kind of family environment. Also from the Midwest, I should note, parents were entrepreneurs too, kind of very early computer days. And, it's funny, these types of personalities are starting to become more compelling to me. Okay, I will say there are two guys in Brooklyn who are in the unschooling, homeschooling space who I just adore. They are really kooky guys. They have really strong opinions. I think that both of them are in entrepreneurial, engineers, design, and all of them have a lot of friends. They're really close to their male friends. They're not afraid to say what they think. And they also have a real generous spirit. They were always there for me when I was building my startup to just talk to me endlessly and give advice, not expect anything in return, and just this really high level of respect for me, but also giving really good feedback. Interestingly, I'm scrolling through some other men here who, it's funny just thinking about also kind of in the entrepreneurial engineer space, but not necessarily bringing that spirit of generosity and openness that the other men give. So I'm seeing some really interesting threads about the way these people interact with the community and their male friends. Let's see. Wow. Scrolling by some guys I used to have crushes on who definitely don't fit my description. Yeah, it's funny. Also, more kind of spiritual ones are not necessarily jumping out at me. I think I really want this kind of high energy and curiosity and taste for trying new things. That's really compelling to me right now. Yeah, and there's some people who are really rocks and good husbands here, but just I don't know, I don't know how to exactly describe the physical attraction piece, but these men are really in their bodies. I mean, my uncle does a ton of cycling. This other guy who is an Airbnb, he's just always running around, working on stuff. My cousins' husbands are so fit. I mean, they're always going to the gym and just, this general kind of health in body and mind. And yeah, they're just really healthy. A lot of guys who live in walkable cities are just naturally healthy as well. It's funny, there's also yeah, let's see. So I'm trying to get one more because I said I would come up with 10 so I can really think about. these men and what they bring to the table. These two men who kind of came into my life recently, I'm not sure about. I think that they do kind of fit all these qualities, but I haven't. All right, here's a good one. My childhood friend's husband, I just met him actually at a funeral, which was really sad. And I was so excited about how he was so passionate about women's rights, looking after women. And he was our old friend used to take his daughter on these night walks to help her feel safe when she was walking alone at night. He would kind of follow behind her and jump out and scare her to give her this sense of, self-defense. I don't know what it was, but that's the story that her husband chose to tell about his father-in-law at the funeral. And I thought that was really remarkable. And again, there's just I just sense this overwhelming joy from these men about their family and how much they love their kids and love their wife. And there's this prioritization of the wife that really flows through that. So real clarity about marriage and children, and then a wider social network of both men and women, a lot of physical health and curiosity about the world, which is reflected in conversations these people have with people, a real generosity of spirit and desire to give more than you take. So yeah, these are all really wonderful men, and I think that the people I know are really lucky to know them, and I'm excited to meet men like this. So if you're listening and you're trying to think about manifesting a wonderful man and you want to cultivate a more positive attitude about men in general, I recommend this exercise of scrolling through your Facebook friends and thinking about husbands of friends and what kind of relationships you admire and would enjoy being in. I hope this has been helpful and you feel excited to cultivate positive attitudes about men. And if any of these guys seem to fit a description of who you are and you're single and looking for love, please feel free to reach out to me and maybe we can have a date.